I read a lot of lucky people stories, but today's top story legitimately impressed me. Before I get into today's content, if you are a fan of amazing lucky people and the mystery of how it happened, delivered in story format, then you have come to the right channel, because that's all we do. We upload once a week, so if that's of interest to you, bake the like button a cake and use salt instead of sugar. Then get the like button to give the first piece to its grandma. Don't forget to subscribe to us and the amazing people content we supply. Now let's get into it. Born on the 16th of March 1916, was a healthy young boy. Eventually, after studying really hard, a marine engineer by the name of Tsutomu Yamaguchi. He lived during World War II, was an employee at Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, which required him to travel all over the country. It was during his business trip to Hiroshima in 1945 that the first nuclear bomb was dropped. Miraculously, though injured, he survived the blast. Afterward, though, he quickly returned to his family and home in Nagasaki, returning to work the day of the second nuclear attack. You might say this made him the world's unluckiest man, but he survived the second blast as well as the first, which is truly amazing. Throughout the rest of his life, Yamaguchi became a vocal protester against nuclear weapons technology. In an interview, he said, "The reason that I hate atomic bombs is because of what it does to the dignity of human beings." And then, in a telephone interview, "I cannot understand why the world cannot understand the agony of nuclear bombs. How can they keep developing these weapons?" In 2009, Japan officially recognized Yamaguchi as a survivor of both atomic bombs dropped on Japan, making him the only person in the world officially recognized to have survived 2 nuclear bomb explosions. Mr. Yamaguchi lived a long life until the old age of 93 and died on January the 4th, 2010 at his home in Nagasaki. This next story is about a man called Bill Morgan. When his car collided with a truck and he was crushed under the impact, everyone thought it was the end of the line for Australian Bill Morgan, even the doctors. They declared him legally dead for more than 14 minutes. He was somehow revived and managed to survive after only 12 days in a coma, even after the family removed life support. But his luck did not end there. To celebrate his survival, he bought a scratch card and won a car worth 17,000 Australian dollars. When the local news station heard about him and his good fortune, they were so impressed they did a segment about him on their show. They asked him to reenact the scene by scratching off another card, only for him to win a whopping further $250,000, again live during the show. Maybe it was death going, "My bad, dude." And for today's number 1 luckiest person, goes by a name of Frane Salak, or Frano, was a Croatian man who was known for his frequent brushes with death. Born on a cold, misty morning in June 1929 and passing away at the ripe old age of 87. Called the luckiest, unluckiest man in the world, Frane has cheated death not once, not twice, but an amazing 7 times. His first brush with death was in 1962, while travelling on a train in January. The train flipped off the tracks and fell into a freezing river. Bystanders pulled him to shore and safely with only 1 broken arm and hypothermia, while unfortunately 17 other passengers drowned. Only 1 year later, in 1963, during his first and last plane ride, the plane lost altitude and plummeted to ground. Frane was blown out of a malfunctioning plane door and somehow managed to land on a haystack completely unharmed, while the plane unfortunately crashed, killing 19 people. Then 3 years after that, in 1966, a bus he was riding in slid off the road into a river, drowning 4 of the passengers. Salak, however, swam safely to the shore and only sustained a few cuts and bruises. 2 years later, in what was arguably one of the weirdest reasons for almost dying, while trying to teach his son how to hold a gun, he hadn't realised the safety was off and ended up shooting himself in the testicles. He lived, although his testicles didn't. In 1970 and 1973, he got into 2 accidents where the car ended up catching fire. Aside from a few singed hairs, he managed to get out of both of them absolutely unharmed. Again. But his dance with death wasn't over yet. Later, in 1995, he was hit by a bus in Zagreb, but only suffered minor injuries. 1 year later, he managed to avoid a head-on collision with a United Nations truck on a mountain road by swerving into a guardrail. The guardrail broke under the force of the car hitting it, and Frayne, not wearing a seatbelt, was ejected out of the car when the door flew open. He stood up, dusted himself off, and watched as the car fell 300 feet into the river below. And to top his luck off, in 2003, 2 days after he turned 73 years old, Frayne Salak won 1.1 million from the Croatian National Lottery. What a birthday present that was. And at the time of his win, he was also married for the 5th time. When he purchased 2 houses and a boat with his winnings, in 2010, he decided to give most of his remaining money away to relatives and friends, after deciding to live a frugal lifestyle. What a legend this man was. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Let me know what you thought of the stories in the comment, and I will pin the best comment at the top of the comment section. If you enjoyed today's stories and you haven't already, please bake the like button a cake, but use salt instead of sugar. Then get the like button to offer the first piece to its grandma. Also, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out any of our weekly uploads. I really appreciate your support, so until next time, that's going to do it.